Welcome back to Glendevere Golf and Tennis Club here in Portland, Oregon. Round 2 of the 2023 Portland Open presented by Latitude 64 is underway. Tournament Central here. I'm Brian Earhart, joined by Terry Miller. And Terry, the FPO division about to go off. Kristen Tatar, your leader by 1. Obviously not surprised, but how do you feel about her performance yesterday?
Well, what we saw from her is that she started out strong. She had a few hiccups in the middle, but then for the most part ended strong. She, of course, had the bogey on 18, but other than that, she had strung together 4 birdies in a row, the only player to do so in that section of the course, and she took advantage of those longer holes that kind of close out the round. She took advantage of those.
Well, she started out incredibly confident. This beautiful fairway driver she threw on hole number 1, landing it on a dime on the tough green. One of the hardest holes in the property. She moved through the round pretty confidently, had kind of a slow stretch on the front 9, but heated up on the back. And the bogey at 18 to finish, as much as that might feel like a bad taste in your mouth, you look at the scoring average, 5.77. So a lot of the field was averaging a bogey or worse on that hole. So I think Kristen is in a good position. I think she was throwing the disc well. She looked loose out there. And, even talking to her off camera, she seemed like she's in a very good place right now.
Yeah, and we talked to her during the press conference, and she said that some of the jet lag was still real. So I think she's just a matter of getting fully rested, fully recovered, so that she's ready to go for this long weekend of golf. I mean, talk about not only the travels, but then to come here, play a 4-round Elite Plus event, and the fact that it's one of the longest we'll see on the tour. All of that doesn't really bode well for her, but she found a way to fight through it, and we're not surprised by that.
Well, I talked to Seth Finley, who's one of the team managers there at Latitude, and he's really taking a lot of pride in making the U.S. feel like home for a lot of these European players, and it sounds like they're very happy with the work that he's done to make things comfortable for them. And he pays very close attention to how Kristen is feeling, and he makes sure that he tries to make sure her recovery and her time spent off the disc golf course is valuable and contributes to her overall success out there. I mean, we've seen him caddy for her in the past as well. I think she has a good support system out here. I think she's very happy to be here right now. I think she said living a peaceful, quiet life in Estonia was kind of a nice recharge for her, but now she's back in front of the spotlight, and like you said, she is the best player in the world. Also being from Estonia, she kind of can't avoid it at this point.
No, and what's a little more unique about this particular week, or maybe even this entire visit, I'm not sure of all of her plans, but she's essentially traveling alone. She's often traveled with the likes of Katie Tati or even her significant other in silver, both of them back in Estonia right now. So this trip is, for the most part, on her own. Of course, she has the help, like you just said, from Seth Finley. But then I also think to some of her other common support system are the likes of the Macbeths, Hannah and Paul Macbeth, also often traveling with her to help her out where she can. We know Hannah's in Florida, and Paul is, of course, over in Europe already. So those are some of the additional factors that she's working in. And she's been around the U.S. a few times now, but still, she's in a foreign country. And we talked about this the other day. This is the first time she's ever been to Oregon or competed here in the Pacific Northwest. So just a lot of things to take in.
She's definitely inspired. She said that she really loves the trees out here. They're different from the ones that she has in Estonia. And she says she really enjoys the gaps that she hits out here at the West Course, which I talked to Holland Hanley. She said something very similar. For players with a certain level of power out here, it's actually very technical. There's a lot of low ceilings, a lot of little flex shots that you have to hit. And I think Kristen is also feeling that way about this course. But the one thing that I feel like we need to talk about, as the tour evolves, we're still under a decade old as a company. There's a lot of new things being thrown at the players. There's a lot more media coverage, more than ever before. There's new things with, say, these walk and talks that we're doing with the players. There's a lot of things that can take you out of your element as a professional player out here, because, yes, you are entertainment coming out here. That's part of the job as a professional athlete. And I think for the most part, she's handling it extremely well. And it's tough to have the target on your back and then also have the media want a piece of you seemingly every day.
Yeah, and the one advantage I would say she has there is oftentimes we want to talk to our players whether they play well or not.
Yeah.
More often than not, she plays well, so that does bode in her favor in that specific case. But it has been a learning curve, and we've seen it throughout throughout both of our divisions in MPO and FPO. Is sometimes you're lining up an interview, you're talking about that media obligation. At least we are within the production studio. And then we see something happen, something unfold on the last hole, or whatever the case might be, and you're thinking, man, you you know these people as friends and you know them as allies, and you're excited about that, but they're also, like you said, they're here as part of the sport and the overall media exposure. It's an interesting time we're weaving through here in the early goings.
Well, yeah, I mean, it seems like everybody kind of wants a piece of her right now, and you can see her signing autographs throughout the week, fans coming to watch, and she kind of can't get away from it right now. And where disc golf is, it's not like the players kind of get shuttled in to this secret area where they're off limits. It's still disc golf at the end of the day. We're going to take a quick commercial break. On the other side, another player just behind Kristen, Sayananda. We'll see you soon.
Hey, I'm Johannes,
Hey, I'm Jonathan.
and today we're going to talk about how to aim.
You have some problems with the distance, the timing, and pretty much everything.
This is kind of the ground or the beginning of the throw.
There you go.
So we're going to throw some forehands.
Oh yeah. Then you just stroke the board and then you push it in the basket.
You should never, ever throw your max on a golf course.
What?
Should have brought some snacks.
I got you.
Ah!
I got you. I got you. I got you.
Oh, Karen, do you know where hole 17 is?
I got you!
Is that a compass? Karen, why do you have this?
Ethan, just help me. We gotta get this set up.
Okay.
It's getting dark.
Welcome back. Let's take a closer look here at the Glendevere property that the players are playing this week with our course spotlight.
Here at Glendevere, the courses are also different, but one of the big wins in designing West this year was using some of the design characteristics that really made East special last year on West. So that means avoiding a lot of the golf infrastructure. Sometimes we use it well and creatively, and it makes some risk-reward decisions for us. But a lot of times we're playing in the giant Douglas firs in between the fairways and natural areas. We're able to take advantage of that because disc golf benefits when it uses those natural features and stays away from some of the golf infrastructure. What's beautiful here about the golf infrastructure is that it allows for large crowds. In fact, it's almost like a disc golf diorama every hole. It's like a stage that we can set and everyone can view it from the fairways. This reminds me of the Pacific Northwest. We have some elevation. We've got beautiful, huge Douglas fir trees. A couple things make me proud of this hole. This is hole 8 on the East course. The first thing I think of when I think about this hole is collaboration. I'm the lead designer on both these courses, but it's taken our entire Glendevere design team to make this happen. You know, whether it's Brian Cole, Evan Spur, Christine Jennings, Dustin Keegan, Phil DeLone, like everybody's put in their touches and made holes better. A constant theme for the player is decision making, especially off the tee. There's multiple gaps, but not so many that you're wondering what's happening. It's a downhill gap that you could eagle if you hit it perfect, bringing more and more disc golfers from around the world to really exhibit what Pacific Northwest disc golf is about in a way that we can bring in 10,000 people.
Well, joined here by PDGA's Hayden Henry. Hayden, you talked to a lot of players yesterday. You followed a lot of disc golf yesterday. What was the overall sentiment that you gathered?
Yeah, you see all these signs that says keep Portland weird. But out here on the Pro Tour, it's just a normal weekend. We have a familiar name at the top in Kristen Tar and FPO, and absolute chaos all over the leaderboard. So just another week on the Elite Series in the Pro Tour. You know, there's 6 players within 3 strokes of the Tar and 15 players within 3 strokes of that log jam at the top of MPO. So set up for another crazy weekend. Again, something we talk about every week.
Well, you say that, and it's because the sport of disc golf at all levels is growing like crazy, and the governing body, the PDGA, has to scale with that. So with that said, anything else going on with the PDGA to help scale with that?
Yeah, yesterday we announced the 6 candidates for the Global Board of Directors. We had 13 nominations submitted last month. That was whittled down to 6. So you can get to know them all through their introductions and through interviews with PDGA Radio on PDGA.com right now. You have the entire month of July to get to know these 6 candidates to pick out who you want to vote for in July.
Yep. So much going on in the world of disc golf. Make your voice heard. Go vote for one of the board of directors. And it's a beautiful future we have up ahead in the world of disc golf. Let's take a look at some scores in our FPO division. Sayananda, stroke behind Kristen Tatar. She spoke to us after a round yesterday. Let's take a look.
The start was, I mean, the first drive was like absolutely amazing and was better than anything I had thrown in practice. So I was like, oh, all right, maybe we're playing today. And I think the front 9, I haven't checked with the scorecard. I wasn't paying, too much attention. When I had I had those bogeys and some of those like missed shots, I really just tried to like keep the momentum moving forward onto the next hole. Just kind of trying to keep a modest game plan and then kind of like feel when I'm able to like execute and like kick it up into gear and then bring it back down into gear, and not like a pet peeve of mine is when I get a really good birdie and then I bogey the hole afterwards, like the opposite of a bounce back. So when I do get a good shot, I typically try to like kind of calm and like reset. And I don't know, I was thinking that there were a lot of like left to right holes. So I was thinking it was going to be really forehand friendly, but it seemed like the backhand shots were flying really, really well out there. And I think we got lucky with a beautiful day as well. So, I mean, it all just kind of came together for a lovely day.
And that's the thing with Saya. I think when you listen to her speak, you hear the experience. You hear the fact that she's gotten herself into positions where she's scored really well and maybe overthought a bit too much after that. I think it's very common for younger players to have struggles after they have a hot start. And I think the hardest part when it comes to being a champion is being able to close out when you're on fire. And I think the fact that she's speaking about that in such detail shows that she's been good for a lot longer than I think people realize.
Well, and it sounds like she's also taking a page out of what we just heard from Paige Pierce. And Paige Pierce was referencing, of course, the 4-time world champion Valerie Jenkins. In the press conference, she said, I need to learn just how to be more even out there. Not get too high on the highs, not get too down on the lows, and just try and play an even keel round. She said that when Valerie Jenkins was out there playing, you had no idea if she was playing great or if she was playing poorly. It didn't matter because she always looked so stoic. She just carried herself in that way. Of course, led her to 4 world titles and one of the most likable people truly on the tour and in disc golf. So it sounds like, taking some of those lessons, and I think that's great.
And I think another player on this lead card that we need to talk about who seems to be doing a very good job at handling her emotions on the course is Hannah Wynn. Another Spokane player that's on this lead card. She's really showcasing some improvement this season. We watched her at North Cove really pop off and showcase her full skill set. I think she's still improving. I'm super excited to see her play out there today.
Yeah, and I remember talking to her shortly after that event, the silver event that she played at North Cove, and I said to her, is this something new? Is this a flash in the pan, or are you on your way up? And she says, oh, I'm here. I'm ready to go.
Well, the thing about Hannah that I like is that she plays a very simple style of golf. She actually reminds me a lot of like a Kristen Tatar player. She throws really solid flat shots. She controls her nose angle very well. She gets up and down. She has a very solid putt. And like you said, all the players are now getting a blueprint to follow. A lot of these younger players listening to how Kristen speaks about her game, listening to how Paige speaks about the game through all the failures that they've had in the past. So I think players like Hannah know what to expect. They know what it takes to be a champion out here, and we'll see what happens. She has 3 more rounds to go. We talked to Hannah after her round as well, and she had a lot to say. Let's take a look.
Some days my putts are really on, like I'm really good at throwing them in like from 60 feet. I'm really good at those, and as long as I keep the drive clean, I feel like I'm going to be really good off the tee. And so I just feel like everything's kind of clicking, but not like consistently yet. Keep staying focused. There's a lot of times where today I was just, my mind kind of wandered off, and I had to tell myself to stay in it because I'm playing really well. So having a good mindset of winning and doing good.
Well, there you go. That's the mindset that all of these younger players are starting to adopt. And it's one thing to be really good at throwing a disc. It's another thing to golf. And it's another thing to keep your head solid and steady for 4 rounds throughout a weekend here, where it's such an expansive property. It's a really taxing hike through this property. But a lot of players from the Pacific Northwest popping off here. Ella Hansen, Hannah Wynn, Sayananda, Madison Tamino. Terry, you've come up here for years. Any other players that stick out to you that are out here?
Well, I look at this lineup as we are seeing here on screen. Madison and her husband running a disc golf pro shop, also being the tournament directors for the Beaver State Fling just a couple of weeks ago. So to think about the energy and the effort and being all in on disc golf, I think that's one thing that's incredibly exciting. You see how our players have so many more options now. Of course, being a competitive player on the tour is incredible, but then knowing that you're fully immersed in disc golf, knowing that this is your life, this is your passion, maybe this is your livelihood, all of those things combined, I think is very exciting. And these are opportunities that weren't nearly as prevalent. They weren't as common 10 or 15 years ago. It speaks to the overall growth of disc golf. And Zoe said it best yesterday, the Pacific Northwest shows up. They come out to these events, they support disc golf in Portland, and it's awesome to see.
And that's the lifeblood of the sport. That's what's kept us going for decades, and that's why we're standing here right now, Terry. We're going to take a quick commercial break. On the other side, let's tease a little MPO action later this afternoon.
This is Latitude 64. We handle the smallest of grains with the greatest of passion. Always trying to improve, trying to be better, out of curiosity, excitement, out of thrill, for the player, for the game. Because we want to make disc golf awesome for you.
What makes the Halal Guys so deliciously different? You might have heard of our famously long cart lines in NYC fans happily stand in. Today, with over 100 plus restaurants across the globe, we are your place to experience authentic American halal. Enjoy our delicious falafel, Euro sandwich, platters, and sides topped with our famously flavorful white and hot sauces. Order online today and taste how we make different so delicious. The Halal Guys, bringing something deliciously different to the table.
Welcome back. MPO action this afternoon. Aaron Gossage on top yet again. We watched him make a push for the lead and the victory at the OTB Open a few weeks ago. Does Aaron have what it takes to push through?
Yeah, we've seen him just fillet so many of the different shots out on the courses, and it doesn't really seem to matter the style. However, he has shown some favoritism towards these golf courses. So we saw him do that at OTB a few years ago. We saw him do it just a few weeks ago at OTB. And the one challenge for Aaron Gossage remains to be the putting under pressure. That's the one spot he really needs to step up. And we don't need to be the talking heads to remind him of that. He knows that himself. I think he's talked about it even. He needs to make sure that he can capitalize on those opportunities It's usually with the putter under pressure.
Yeah, actually, I remember very vividly when I was reporting on course at the OTB Open, everyone was pulling for Aaron to win. Everyone thought he was going to take down the victory. Coming down the stretch, he was faced with maybe a 150-foot upshot to the basket, and you could see that all the confidence started to whittle away. In that moment, pushed the upshot short, airballed the putt, and it went downhill from there. And I think we saw it happen at the World Championships as well. I think he had a few moments to really pull ahead of Paul McBeth last year, and he didn't capitalize. So I think he's put himself in this position enough times to where this could be the weekend for Aaron. Let's hear what he had to say, though.
I had a really solid round. I was really trying to give myself plenty of opportunities, try to stay away from OB, not take any bogeys. That was kind of the key to my success. And then overall, I've had mixed feelings about the course, but the more I play it, the more I'm starting to enjoy it. There are definitely 2 par 4s on the back that are like closer to par 5s, so you just kind of have to play them like if I throw a perfect shot, I can attack, play for birdie, but if not, you got to have the mindset of I'm going to lay up, going to take my 4, call it a day. For the most part, I made a couple mistakes, but other than that, I was executing my shots really well. Had a pretty solid game plan, but I'll just make some small differences probably for tomorrow. Yeah, you really got to like play your own game. You can't, fall behind a little bit and start trying to push. You gotta just play your own game, stay focused, and then not let anything throw you off too much.
Well, he shot a clean 8 under par yesterday with a hot start just like he wanted, and I think another player that we could see really destroy these courses is Isaac Robinson. Had a great showing here last year. He's improved so much as a player. It's actually shocking to think that he only went on tour full-time just about a year ago at this very tournament. The interesting thing about this West course and him shooting so well here, he's usually one to challenge ceilings as high as he possibly can go, and now most of this course is a lot lower ceiling. Do you think that they have that different game plans out here?
Yeah, that is very interesting because the low line drives that we see by Gossage, as you're saying, in contrast to what we see by Robinson. We'll see how they attack. We'll also see how that plays out when they get over to the East Course for rounds 3 and 4. They both attack the course in very different ways. On the back 9 yesterday, their front 9s looked pretty similar. Their back 9s were different. We'll see if that changes it up at all this afternoon. We're excited to see it. We also heard from Isaac Robinson yesterday. Let's take a listen.
Feeling pretty good. My drives were on point today. Was putting them where I wanted. I missed a couple short putts. I think 2 for birdie and 1 for par. So really want those back. But other than that, felt like I played solid.
A new course. What are your thoughts? Where's the challenging stretch?
Oh man, I think the entire back 9, just with how long it is, you really want to get the birdies on the front, and then just kind of hang on for the ride once you hit the back 9. Yeah, this was where I made my tour debut last year, and it's a special place in my heart. It's the first tour event I played last year, and I placed 3rd, and I want to do even better this year. So that's kind of my goal moving forward, is take this thing down. Yeah, I think the most challenging thing is putting the shots you threw yesterday kind of out of your head and kind of stop comparing your score to the day before. That's something that I struggle with and that I'm going to be just not thinking about tomorrow.
Did you see anything in the competition round that you may have missed in practice that you're going to adjust for tomorrow?
Yeah, a couple different aiming points, places to land. Somebody, Dustin and Scott Withers were playing with me today, so they kind of told me, where you wanted to land, and so I, kind of listened to them a little bit.
Well, the FPO division is going off soon. The lead card, rounding out that lead card, Missy Gannon. We will talk Missy after this commercial break. Double G Craft Jerky has been a favorite of mine for years. The unique flavors and delicious taste make it the perfect snack. Every bag of Double G Jerky sold contributes to the Double G Children's Foundation, which helps support youth disc golf. Visit doublegjerky.com and use coupon code DGPT on your order and get a free 1-ounce bag of jerky.
Latitude 64's boys down here just finished checking out the top and everything is A-OK.
Hey, Jonathan, catch. Huh?
Jonathan, we're getting an anomalous critical failure on your suit. Could you please confirm status?
Sorry, man. Warning, low oxygen.
My name is Garrett Gerthy, and I'm the founder of Double G Craft Jerky.
I love the fact that it's resealable. I can just get a little bit, keep my energy levels up, but not eat like a half of a meal in the middle of my round.
My favorite bag is the smashed cracked pepper. That's my perfect salty snack.
This is my go-to, the Sexton Sweet and Spicy. If this bag gets open, there's no need for the seal, because I'm gonna eat it all.
Missy Gannon rounding out your lead card, 3 under par. Missy, not necessarily known for being the longest thrower. A lot of the big arms out here saying that this course kind of caters to them in a lot of ways. But Missy chipped her way through the course in typical Missy fashion.
Yeah, you were saying that as we saw the scorecard earlier of hers, that she had a single bogey to open and then nothing but pars and birdies to close out. Is that how you would just... Is it consistency? How are you describing her game when you wrap it all into that?
It's super consistent. It's simple. She is not doing what Paige Pierce has said that she does. Paige is always trying to do something fun, and she has this huge bag of tricks. Missy, great thrower. I can't take that away from her, but she's a great golfer. The way she approaches this sport is all about score, all about getting herself into position and taking down victories. She just tries to get from point A to point B. She throws the same disc over and over again, which is hard to do. It takes a lot of discipline to do that and not get bored of it, so to speak. But the fact is, this course, it suits her game in the sense that she can go very simple off the tee, and it opens up her options, and obviously being one of the best putters in the game, it plays to her advantage. Let's listen to Missy after her first round yesterday.
I think the challenge is just how long the course, and I don't mean necessarily that all the holes are super long, it's just that it's a lot of land to cover. So, just making sure you're staying hydrated, keeping up with snacks, and, keeping your energy up, I think is the biggest thing. But otherwise, I think it plays fair. I think it's going to play tough. But the birdies are definitely out there. There were 2 holes where I found myself a little shorter off the tee. I think I want to say hole 4, where it's sort of that there's a water in between, and you have to throw over on the second shot. I found myself shorter off the tee, but it made me be able to throw a little bit more of a higher speed disc on the next shot. And that was kind of nice, and I actually liked that plan, and I might try to do that again.
Well, Missy Gannon and the rest of the lead card competitors are going off soon. We're going to take one more commercial break here on Tournament Central, and we'll wrap things up.
Hey, can I get a flight tray? Sure.
Flight's ready.
This is the new
Optimize orbit. Look
at this
very nice thing.
tingling.
One final look at your scores going into today's second round. We'll send you out to the action. For Tournament Central, I'm Brian Earhart. He's Terry Miller. We will catch you on the course.